Here are the results from college football for Week 7. Cincinnati bested UCF by a score of 20-11 last Saturday. Oklahoma State was beaten by Houston last Saturday.
Repeat.
Cincinnati bested UCF by a score of 20-11 last Saturday. Oklahoma State was beaten by Houston last Saturday. The final score was 39-17. Illinois was beaten by Ohio State last Saturday. The final score was 34-16. SMU beat Stanford by a score of 34-10 last Saturday. Florida State lost to Pittsburgh last Saturday. The final score was 34-31. Do you want to hear the next 5 games?
Yes.
Michigan State was defeated by UCLA last Saturday. The final score was 38-13. Missouri lost to Alabama last Saturday. The final score was 27-24. Ole Miss defeated Washington State by a score of 24-21 last Saturday. Oregon State was beaten by Wake Forest last Saturday. The final score was 39-14. Colorado bested Iowa State by a score of 24-17 last Saturday. Want the next 5 games?
Yes.
Oregon lost to Indiana last Saturday. The final score was 30-20. Notre Dame beat NC State by a score of 36-7 last Saturday. Texas beat Oklahoma by a score of 23-6 last Saturday. Penn State lost to Northwestern last Saturday. The final score was 22-21. Maryland was defeated by Nebraska last Saturday. The final score was 34-31. Want the next 5 games?
Yes.
Kansas State overcame TCU by a score of 41-28 last Saturday. Georgia Tech bested Virginia Tech by a score of 35-20 last Saturday. Tennessee overcame Arkansas by a score of 34-31 last Saturday. Texas A&M beat Florida by a score of 34-17 last Saturday. Wisconsin lost to Iowa last Saturday. The final score was 37-0. Do you want to hear the last 5 games?
Yes.
Boston College was defeated by Clemson last Saturday. The final score was 41-10. Minnesota outdid Purdue by a score of 27-20 last Saturday. Texas Tech overcame Kansas by a score of 42-17 last Saturday. Auburn was beaten by Georgia last Saturday. The final score was 20-10. And USC outdid Michigan by a score of 31-13 last Saturday.
NFL scores?
Here are the results from the NFL for Week 6. The Falcons bested the Bills by a score of 24-14 yesterday. The Commanders were defeated by the Bears yesterday. The final score was 25-24. The Jets were defeated by the Broncos last Sunday. The final score was 13-11. The Colts overcame the Cardinals by a score of 31-27 last Sunday. The Dolphins were defeated by the Chargers last Sunday. The final score was 29-27. Do you want to hear the next 5 games?
Yes.
The Jaguars were beaten by the Seahawks last Sunday. The final score was 20-12. The Panthers outdid the Cowboys by a score of 30-27 last Sunday. The Ravens lost to the Rams last Sunday. The final score was 17-3. The Saints lost to the Patriots last Sunday. The final score was 25-19. The Steelers beat the Browns by a score of 23-9 last Sunday. Do you want to hear the last 5 games?
Yes.
The Raiders outdid the Titans by a score of 20-10 last Sunday. The Buccaneers defeated the 49ers by a score of 30-19 last Sunday. The Packers overcame the Bengals by a score of 27-18 last Sunday. The Chiefs defeated the Lions by a score of 30-17 last Sunday. And the Giants overcame the Eagles by a score of 34-17 last Thursday.
Awesome games right there. Wow, what an exciting matchup for college and NFL.